Hi, my name is James Sabatino. I'm a sales and applications engineer with Marubeni Citizen-Cincom, and I work out of our New England office, and in particular I cover the state of Connecticut. Today we're standing in front of MCC's offerings of thread whirling units. Now, the CNC machine tool industry changes a lot day to day, and one of the new technologies that keeps advancing is the topic of thread whirling. So thread whirling is really important anytime you have a complex thread like any of your medical bone screws or any other lead screw application where the pitch and geometry of the thread is just too much to ask of a tool to generate in a more traditional single point turning operation to generate the thread. The premise of thread whirling and how it works is you have one of these thread whirl units that you would install inside of the CNC machine. Now, we're very modular in the sense of where these tools can go, and the premise of it is you're going to have a thread whirling ring inside this unit, and that ring is going to spin, and it's going to be a controlled rotation of the cutting tool to a controlled rotation of the bar stock. And how this works is you're going to have interrupted cutting, almost like an end mill, to generate that complex thread geometry. And the greatest aspect of it is it leads you to make a thread without long stringy chips like everyone in the cutting tool world is used to trying to generate a thread. The inherent interrupted cut of a thread whirl lets you thread whirl in difficult to machine materials like titanium that are more prone to generate a long stringy chip. So what makes MCC special in the thread whirling offerings that we have for our equipment is we're modular in the sense that it can go on the gang tool post of any of our Citizen-Cincom Swiss machines, or it can go in the B axis of the machine as well. Now you might be asking what the advantages are as to having the thread whirl in the B axis or on the gang tool post of the machine, and that really comes down to the complexity of the thread. So if you have a complex part with a complex thread, maybe you need a B axis on the machine to generate angled holes going through that bone screw, and you still have the need to thread whirl. We have many machine offerings available with a programmable B axis that have clearance to have a thread whirl like this installed on the gang. So you don't have to sacrifice your B axis to put a thread whirl in the machine and lose the ability to make complex parts. So whenever you take a thread whirl like this and mount it on the gang of the machine, it's going to be manually set. There's a couple of adjustment screws on the thread whirl, and you can go and change the pitch of the helix angle of the whirl. Now, we have a lot of different offerings for thread whirls, things in a 15-degree pitch, a 25-degree pitch, and very new, a 35-degree pitch. And anyone watching this in the medical industry is going to know with kind of the direction that bone screws are going in, the ability to have a 35-degree pitch on a thread whirl is huge. So on top of that, some of the other innovations that we have in thread whirling is a holder like this, which is a tandem thread whirl. So I've firsthand seen some of the new bone screws hitting the market that require two different compound threads on the bone screw. So it might be one pitch at the start of the screw and transition to a second thread type and a separate form and helix angle on the remaining part of that screw. So that previously would have been either an impossible to machine screw, or you would have to have a machine with enough clearance for two thread whirls, which we actually have the ability to do, but in general that's a complex setup. So now we have the ability to put this tandem thread whirl on our B axis, and since it's on our B axis, you can now independently rotate and change the helix angle of this thread whirl as if it were on a machine. So this lets you have one tool loaded into your machine, only sacrificing one tool position instead of two tool positions, and being able to change that thread profile from the start of the screw to the end of the screw with two totally different flight rings loaded in the thread whirl. So this is just one of the many offerings that we have at MCC that let our customers create complex parts on some of the most complex machines on the market. Now here we are in front of our Citizen-Cincom A320 Swiss machine. The A320 is one of our more introductory models into the Cincom product line. It still combines a lot of functionality into a smaller footprint machine and at a more competitive price point for those looking to introduce themselves to the Swiss machining market and have the potential to do thread whirling to make complex geometry like this part here. So I think everyone watching this would agree that this is a very complex part to produce, both with the thread whirl, the milled features, the engraving, and of course the standard threading as well. So to think that a part like this can be made on a budget-friendly introductory Swiss machine like the A320 is a really big selling point for a lot of our customers. So here we are. If we look inside the A320, you can see we have one of our gang-mounted thread whirls. Now this particular machine doesn't have the ability to have a B-axis installed, but just because we don't have a B-axis doesn't mean we can't have a thread whirl, and just because we put a thread whirl in the machine doesn't mean we're losing the capability of having cross tools or face working tools to do complex build features on any aspect of a part like this. So again, the A320 has the ability to have our thread whirl installed on the gang, and then you can move up the Citizen product line if you ever have the need to have 2 thread whirls lowered inside the machine, or a thread whirl on a B-axis so you can continuously change the helix angle of the thread whirl. Thank you guys for listening to us today talk about thread whirling on the Citizen-Cincom product line. If you have any more questions, I encourage you to go to our website, www.marucit.com. On our website, you can be directed to a link to find your local distributor, as well as more information about the wide product line that we carry of Citizen-Cincom Swiss machines and Citizen Miano mill turn machines.